My dear buddies, so whenever a new motorcycle gets launched, we all get excited. We love it. We want to test ride the motorcycle and see what it is all about. And we are lucky at Inline 4 because Royal Enfield officially sent this beautiful Meteor 350 to us, and we've had this motorcycle for well over a week with us, and every single member of Inline 4 has test ridden this motorcycle. Our technicians, our engineers, our staff, everyone. That way, it is not just one person who is telling you what that person feels. That is not just me, This is a collective effort, and we discussed what this motorcycle really offers to us. And I like to talk about some philosophy. In life, it is all about how well we evolve. It is about understanding what we are doing and how we can do it better. When you compare this 350cc Meteor to first time when I actually rode a classic 350, probably that was about 12 years ago, and I was sitting on my friend's classic 350. He bought a brand new motorcycle and he said, Vikas, I bought this motorcycle, would you like to test ride it? And I said, yeah, why not? And those days I was riding smooth motorcycles, and I sat on the 350 classic and I cranked her up, and oh my god, I could not believe it. It was shaking, the whole thing was going. And when you ride the motorcycle, the handling was just almost non-existent. I mean, you could not do emergency braking. The whole geometry, that is the weight balance, the frame and everything, was just unbelievably ordinary. And well, you could either call it to be a very nice classic machine, or on the other hand, you would absolutely hate it. So nothing in between. But this is what Royal Enfield has done. They have evolved. They have understood what the customer wants, what the rider wants. And today, they produce amazing motorcycles like the Interceptor 650 and now the Meteor 350. The Interceptor 650 is amazing. It's fast, it's got parallel twin engine, but it is a 650cc. So if you're riding it for commuting, you would not get much fuel efficiency. And that is where a 350cc would play a major role, because you can take this motorcycle to office, you can do long rides on this motorcycle, you can take this motorcycle to Ladakh, and she would have enough torque to keep you going and also give you enough fuel efficiency. So this is not just another facelift model or a cosmetic thing by Royal Enfield. Okay, they have actually re-engineered the engine. Okay, the man behind the camera is Srinath, our technical head. So the engine, any engine has a crankshaft, correct? Okay, the crankshaft usually has a flywheel to keep the momentum going. Okay. And in motorcycles like the Dominar and the Duke 390 and all these motorcycles, they have a body balancer. And that way, the vibrations on the engine are reduced by a major level. And here, this engine, the crankshaft has been counterbalanced. So that way, the engine is probably the smoothest Royal Enfield single cylinder engine ever. Now, the technical specifications of this 350cc engine might not blow your mind, because you might think, oh, KTM Duke 390 produces 43 horsepower. But remember, these are completely different segments. Okay, so this motorcycle for a cruiser kind of an engine makes about 21 horsepower and slightly less than 30 Newton meters of torque. These figures are good because remember, the torque comes in pretty low down, and that way for your commuting and for overtaking on the highways, this motorcycle would do a really good job. And Trinath, if you could come over this side. we will show the disc brakes. The disc brakes are much bigger on this motorcycle compared to the previous generation, like that classic 500 right there. Most of the time, the Royal Enfield rear brakes were not really known for their performance. This one has a much bigger disc brake. The previous model 350s or even 500s had a 220 mm disc on the rear. This one is a much bigger one. And even the front, if you see, the good thing is that they even have steel braided lines. Now with steel braided lines, technically what is the advantage? If you have rubber lines, this is the lever and this is the master cylinder. So when you press on the lever, this master cylinder is actually producing hydraulic pressure, and that hydraulic pressure should reach the caliper. How does it reach the caliper? It reaches the caliper through the steel braided line here. And if there would have been a rubber line, when you press hard, the rubber line actually expands and on a very small level, and that is taking away the braking pressure. Okay, and steel lines, they don't expand. They are transferring all the hydraulic pressure onto the calipers, and the calipers would press the pistons against the brake pads, and the brake pads would press against the rotor, and that would slow down your motorcycle using friction. Okay, this is how brakes work. Okay, and now this motorcycle has three models: basic model, mid, and the top. And this one is the top. I believe it is known as Supernova. All right, and we live in 2020, correct? So you can go to the Royal Enfield app and you can customize your motorcycle. You know, you can put an aftermarket exhaust. Aftermarket means by Royal Enfield, and you can select the rear backrest and the windshield and all of this. And when you do that, they actually give you a badge, okay, badge which would come onto the fuel tank of the motorcycle right here. Okay, this motorcycle is from the showroom, so there is no badge. I mean, showroom means from the company, but there would be a badge here with your name. Like for example, if I would have customized this motorcycle, it would be written customized for Vikas. Isn't that lovely? Huh? And another amazing thing which Royal Enfield always strikes, that is price point. You're getting this motorcycle base model for 2,07,000 rupees on road. Now it depends on where you live, which part of the country, but 2,07,000 rupees on road is beautiful. And the difference between the base model and the top end model is only about 13 or 15,000 rupees. This is the top end one, and you get the backrest, you get the windshield and everything. Also, with regards to safety, it has a side stand sensor. Of course, many motorcycles had it for a very long time. And this also has a tip over sensor. Now what is a tip over sensor? Just in case in an unfortunate event, okay, you end up falling from the motorcycle, and if the motorcycle falls onto you, in that case the engine is still running, correct? And that is very dangerous. Your hand might go into the rear wheel or anything like that. So you at that situation might not be able to go to the ignition key or the kill switch and cut the engine off. So the motorcycle's ECU can actually sense that the motorcycle has fallen, and then it will cut off the ignition power to the engine, and the engine will stop immediately. Alright, this happened to me. I sensed it on my Duke 390 when I fell on the racetrack. The moment you fall, within about 1 second or so, the engine cuts off. Now this is again first time in Royal Enfield. That is, the motorcycle is smart. You can connect your phone, pair it with this motorcycle, and you can navigate using the maps, Google Maps, from the Royal Enfield app, and you would get turn-by-turn navigation here on the screen. So that way you don't always have to get your cell phone out and place it onto the handlebar, and you can still have your cell phone in your pocket and navigate. This is extremely important. Also, you have Trip A, Trip B like most of the motorcycles, plus you also have fuel trip meter. So the moment you get to reserve, you would see how many kilometers that you have been riding since you have been in reserve, so that you can know when to immediately refuel your motorcycle. And this has a 15-liter fuel tank. So probably calculate on a highway you could get close to 30 kilometers a liter. Now fuel efficiency completely varies from rider to rider, but I'm taking about 30 on the highway. That is because this motorcycle has an overdrive gear. Okay, fifth gear is not just a gear. Now what is overdrive? Let me explain this to you. Okay, if your motorcycle has 5 gears, sometimes the fifth gear is required to get to the top speed. But when the fifth gear is an overdrive gear, in that situation you can actually reach the top speed in the fourth gear. But when you engage the fifth gear on a highway and when you're cruising, that time the RPM falls down a lot, and that way your engine is not stressed, plus the fuel efficiency increases a lot. So the range of this motorcycle would be hundreds of kilometers. You can probably do Hyderabad to Bangalore non-stop almost. Plus you also get tubeless tires because this motorcycle has alloy wheels. So yes, there are pros and cons. The pros of having tubeless tires is that just in case there is a puncture, in case a needle, a nail or something goes inside the tire, that situation you can just pull it out and fix the puncture on your own within 15 minutes. But in case you take this motorcycle to Ladakh or somewhere and in an unfortunate event you hit a rock, that situation the alloy wheel can bend, and because there's no tube inside, all the air would come out and you will get stuck. So that is when a tube and spoke wheel is beneficial. So this is a topic which really kind of has its own advantages and disadvantages. But for city riding and all of this, yes, alloy wheels with easily fixable puncture is very important with tubeless tires. Another important thing, we all need to charge our cell phones, right? Especially when we are on a long ride. We end up buying third-party cell phone chargers, but the issue is that in case they are not well engineered and if they don't have a proper fuse or circuitry, in that case your battery could discharge faster or your electrical wiring on your motorcycle could short. So Royal Enfield has given their own USB charging system right here. Okay, and very well placed, dust and water resistant, and you can charge your cell phones, your GoPro, your DSLR or anything in your tank bag, or you can have a cell phone holder here. So very important point. And another very important point, very few Indian motorcycles actually have hazard indicators ready from the factory. It's extremely important. What is the actual reason to have hazard indicators? The meaning of hazard is to announce any emergency. Okay, so say for example you pull over onto the left side, you park your motorcycle. How would others know in case it's evening? Or when you're riding your motorcycle, okay, you're riding slow for some reason, how would the people behind you know? Okay, that is when you do this, you put these lights. So all the lights, all the 4 indicators, when they glow on and off, it is known as hazard indication, just like your car has. For example, the Dominar 400 does not have hazard indicators. It's an amazing motorcycle, and we get many bikers who come over to inline 4 to fit aftermarket hazard indicators onto the Dominar 400. So that is again not such a suggestible thing, because we would have to insert some kind of a device into the stock wiring. So well done. Even the Interceptor 650 does not have hazard indicators. And this has very beautiful round daytime running LED here, and this glass is actually a diffused glass. People who are interested in photography and videography would understand that diffused glass means that when light is coming out from this glass, it would kind of break it down and diffuse it. Means when it falls onto the eyes of the oncoming traffic, it would not hurt their eyes. So it's a very important thing here. And no matter how fancy something looks, if it is something which is kind of not very convenient when it comes to usage, I always mention it. So here The way to start this motorcycle is, okay, the fuel pump is priming and now the engine has fired up, and this is the kill switch. So it looks fancy, it operates well, but somehow, I've never liked it when manufacturers take away the stock, the designated area of a kill switch. The kill switch should still be here, because just in case the throttle jams, or if you have to cut off the engine all of a sudden, you know that by default every motorcycle will have a kill switch here and you would hit it. But in this case, you would have to get used to it, okay? This is not your second nature. So like for example, the bike is running and if something happens, you would have to think what to do. So yes, again, not a deal breaker, but get used to it when you get onto this motorcycle. Also, the most important thing about any motorcycle is comfort, especially when that motorcycle is designed for long distances. So this one, when you sit onto the seat, the stock seat, it feels beautiful. It is not too soft, not too hard, and the fabric, okay, the material here is really good. The stitching, the piping, everything is upmarket, good quality. And this backrest here would be very helpful for the pillion. Could be a girlfriend, wife, or anyone sitting back there. And the handlebar, now it is not too high, not too small, not too wide, okay? Of course, some people like huge handlebars, it's a personal preference, but when it comes to ergonomics, keeping your hands and your arms comfortable for long distances, this is good, works really well. And the foot pegs, okay, here the foot pegs are designed in a proper cruiser manner. This is what generally American cruisers have, because those people cruise for thousands of miles, okay? And in case it would have been here, it would have been nice for commuting, only commuting. But if it's here, then that way your legs are stretched and relaxed. So, well, thumbs up for this. Small things make a big difference when it comes to safety and ergonomics. Now here is the header pipe of the exhaust. This can get really hot, hundreds of degrees Celsius. And when we keep our foot here and when we are braking, we might by mistake end up touching this part of the exhaust and our shoes could get burned. And that is the reason Royal Enfield has provided this thing here. So when I keep my foot there, my shoes are getting protected with this, and I will not be touching the exhaust by mistake, at least not very often. So good, lot of attention to detail. And even the brake pedal here is nice, big and wide, again designed for long distance touring. Now people might say that this motorcycle does not even have oil cooling radiator, but if you remember, I made videos of what is the advantage of having a simple air-cooled engine. Now, we have a service station, okay, and we understand the headaches that come with liquid cooling engine. The impeller could go bad, the hoses could go bad, the radiator could leak, oh my god. And even with the oil cooler, oil cooling is basically where the oil comes out, goes to a small radiator and cools down, even that can have leakages. So, here with absolute no nonsense system where there is no radiator, no oil cooler, the engine is cooling directly with air. So the odds of any equipment failing is very low. So again, when you're on adventure rides or solo rides, the peace of mind is much more. And the tail section of the motorcycle, although it looks very kind of retro, classy, but it is a completely new design. We love the fender. It is covering the back very beautifully, nice big one, yet not too much, and round tail lamp. Although this motorcycle in many ways looks very modern, but this area is very classy and retro. We have done some crazy off-roading on this motorcycle, and trust me when I say this, we have a dirt bike, okay, we have an Impulse which has been modified highly. And when I looked at this motorcycle, I knew the suspension is nice, but we took this motorcycle onto some really crazy trails and I was able to ride fast. You would they have already seen in this video. And wow, she performed really well. The suspension was able to take all the bumps and still dampen well enough so that I was not getting thrown off the motorcycle. And the tires, the C8 tires, 140 section on the rear and 100 on the front, performed really well, both on the road and off the road. But again, tires are personal preference. You can always replace them once you're done with them. That is it from my side, buddies. My throat, I need a soft drink or a coffee right now because I love to talk about these motorcycles and get into as much details as possible. So if you have anything that I have not spoken about, please put it down in the comments. And well, it's a great thing that an Indian company is bringing up amazing motorcycles. And remember, it is only in India where we can buy amazing motorcycles like these for just about 2 odd lakh rupees. If you are in Europe, America, Dubai, anywhere, these motorcycles would cost twice or thrice the price. Okay, the same one when they export it there. So feel good and lucky about it. So that's it, buddies. I'm there on Instagram, I'm there on Facebook, and we have a service station in Madhapur, 100 feet road, Hyderabad, and we service right from a scooty, Activa, all the way to any superbike in the world. Okay, you can call me on the number mentioned in the description. Bye-bye.